We got it. We got it.
They will let us know as soon as they come up with a plan. And of course, we're right across Jefferson Square Park, one of the epicenter of the protest. Louisville Metro Hall has been one of the locations, along with City Hall, where the family has held their own demonstrations and protests. And of course, one of the largest events happened here, Breonna Taylor's 27th birthday, where the city came out and where we started seeing more people stand in solidarity with them. And again, Doug, the family says they will hold a news conference. They will share their thoughts. We don't know if all the family members will be there, but we know they're represented.
I'll get out of your way.
Of course, they've been waiting for justice this moment. And again, brought the family together with their supporters, have came down here. So we will be there, Doug, when the family makes that happen, and we'll be sure to bring you more.
Well, Sally, before you leave, set the stage for me in the square there. How are people watching this announcement? Is everybody on their phones? I know in the past they brought big screen televisions out there. What are you seeing around you?
Yeah, well, let me show you a live look right now. This is Jefferson Square Park, and things are pretty calm. Obviously, downtown is shut down. The streets are closed. No cars can go through here, no traffic. But they're all surrounded. We heard messages about people saying they want to see justice and how they're not going to stop here if there are no criminal charges and if they don't see what they've been demanding for months. We saw Until Freedom recently just say they will continue to spread the message around the world, not just across the country like we've been seeing happen these last couple of months, but they will spread the message. They are not announcing their plans and what that may look like, but they made it very clear that they will be back and they will try to find ways to bring justice for the family who's been trying to bring this story out of the shadows for almost 7 months now. October 13th will mark the 7th month since Breonna Taylor was shot and killed in her apartment, and they made it very clear they're going to continue organizing and demonstrating. But right now, things are very calm. People are just on their phones, they're taking pictures, they're sharing messages, and they're just hoping for the best.
Okay, Sinai, thank you very much.
Flex 18. Our WDRB is everywhere.
Person, and the courtroom will, that case or those cases will then proceed in those courtrooms assigned for further proceedings. The indictment itself, that is to say the charging document in this case, will be transmitted to the Jefferson County Clerk's Office. It will be recorded and made publicly available through that office. And so I will begin the report of the Jefferson County Grand Jury. In the matter of Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Brett Hankeson, the Jefferson County Grand Jury charges as follows. Count 1, wanton endangerment in the first degree. On or about March 13th, 2020 in Jefferson County, Kentucky, the above-named defendant, Brett Hankeson, committed the offense of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life, he wantonly shot a gun, into the apartment occupied by initials C.E. Count 2, wanton endangerment in the first degree. On or about March 13th, 2020 in Jefferson County, Kentucky, the above-named defendant, Brett Hankeson, committed the offense of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life, he wantonly shot a gun into the apartment occupied by initials C.N. Count 3, wanton endangerment in the first degree. On or about March 13th, 2020, in Jefferson County, Kentucky, the above-named defendant, Brett Hankeson, committed the offense of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life, he wantonly shot a gun into an apartment occupied by initials Z.F. against the peace and dignity of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Mr. Foreperson, is that the decision of the grand jury? Thank you. Sir, if you would please randomly select a number.
Division 13.
Division 13. Thank you, sir. The case will then be assigned to Jefferson Circuit Court, Division 13. Madam Assistant Attorney General, do you have a motion with respect to bond?
Yes, Your Honor. The Assistant Attorney General asks for $15,000 full cash bond for the defendant, Brett Hankinson.
September 2020. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be excused. I'm going off the record.
Yeah, I think we better cut her before she goes off the record. Okay.
Jefferson County in September 2020. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be excused.
That's it? Is that it? That's it? Is that the only check? That's right there. Fuck it up. That's what I said.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. This ain't no way.
I know that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's what was talking about Brett Hankinson.
You know what?
We don't get no murder charge.
That was him letting us know he
Walking endangerment? Walking endangerment.
That was like murder.
Can I steal this can't be it though. This can't be it.
It can't be it. It can't be it.
I know that's not it.
It can't be it.
15,000 dollars. 15,000.
Can we explain that to them on the mic? Yeah. But I want to have a lawyer do it.
Yeah. Where's David?
Can we get a lawyer
Where's
to
David?
explain it?
David, mom. David. Where's David? We need a lawyer. David. We need a lawyer. Angelo.
We need a lawyer like this. This is no.
Over there.
No.
Where's David? David. I seen him over there.
No. There's no way in hell.
David.
There's no way daughter's here. in He's here. hell. There won't be.
We need the lawyer, David.
No. We need answers.
I just want a Kentucky attorney.
We need
We want
answers.
an attorney to give you all the right information. He is on his way.
Hold on. There's no way in hell.
Can y'all back up? Y'all can back up just a little
All right,
bit.
David, can you explain to them what's going on?
Hey, back up.
And then we got a $15,000.
Everybody back up. You gotta back up. Back up some. Everybody back up. Back up some. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Please. Back up.
She's gonna keep saying it till y'all do it.
Back up. We need to get this man room to explain. Back up.
Spread out.
Take 6 more feet back. I feel uncomfortable.
Back up a little bit, please.
All right, that's good.
All right.
Let's let him get.
Hey everybody, my name's David Maurer. I'm a local attorney that's been here for a while. My understanding is they charge Hankinson with 3 counts of wanton endangerment. That's a Class D felony in Kentucky. It carries 1 to 5 years. And I heard there's a $15,000 full cash bond. I'm sure they'll have him bonded out. Probably tonight. Well, somebody will pay for that. I mean, they'll raise money or do something.
Speak up a little bit, David.
What I said was, I understand that Hankinson was charged, as I predicted all along, I hate to say, but he was charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment in Kentucky, under Kentucky law. That is a felony. It's a Class D felony. It carries 1 to 5 years, and there's monetary penalties, but that rarely happens. It was assigned to Circuit Court Division 13. That's Ann Bailey Smith.
That's right.
Who's a pretty good judge, decent judge, fair. She'll listen. The bond, as I said, I believe it was $15,000 full cash bond.
So he'll be arrested, but he'll be.
Well, he'll have to surrender. They will process him through Metro Corrections, just like they would anybody. He'll be fingerprinted, photographed. At that point, you know, there'll probably be a motion for reduction of bond, maybe ROR. My understanding is he's been down in Florida, and he may not be able to do that now. He may not be able to leave the state of Kentucky. Usually a restriction of release is, they call it conditions of release. It's no new offenses. You know, you can't leave the jurisdiction without permission of probation. There's other restrictions, no new offenses. He's already been fired, so obviously one would probably be no carrying weapons, no drugs, no alcohol, things like that. Were there any other charges? Was that it? That's
That was
it.
They concluded.
So as I predicted all along, they did not charge any of those officers with
Not even the one that gave the bogus warrant.
well, let me get to that. They did not charge any of them with a crime assigning responsibility for her death, which in Kentucky would be murder, manslaughter 1, manslaughter 2, or reckless homicide. I thought all along they would charge Detective Josh Janes with perjury because apparently the information on the warrant affidavit was false to the extent that he claimed that LMPD had checked with the United States Postal Service, who had verified suspicious packages were going to her address to Jamarcus Glover. That turned out not to be true, as verified by the Chief United States Postal Inspector locally. So that's it, and that's what you get. And as predicted, you know, whether that's the right decision or not, I don't know. Well, let me say this, but I will say this: after 400 years of bullshit like this going on, it's just outrageous that these police officers can kill this innocent lady. And you know what? You know what to me is even worse than the fact that nothing's worse than murdering her. But after they murdered her, they shamed her. They victim shamed her. They did the same thing as saying, well, if she hadn't worn that miniskirt into the bar, she wouldn't have been assaulted. And they claimed she was a drug dealer, and they proffered down with Jamarcus Glover. They said, oh, if you rat her out and implicate her in all of this, you know, we'll go easy on you. In 34 years of practicing law, I've never seen a proffer down. They always proffer up to get the big fish. So the whole thing is outrageous. It's ridiculous. In my opinion, the Attorney General didn't do his job. There's no way. In my opinion, there was probable cause. And I don't know all of the facts. I know a lot of the facts, but even based on the facts that I know, there was sufficient evidence, in my opinion, to indict these guys for the killing of this fine young lady. And I've had clients indicted on way less evidence than they had on these guys. So once again, justice is denied, and it's not right, it's wrong. And no justice, no peace. And I have one thing to say: say her name, by God.
This is why we are raised. This is why we are raised. Justice. They can do their job. They cannot do their job. This is why we are raised.
Like we said, justice denied and justice delayed. Justice delayed and justice denied.
Fuck the police. Fuck them. You did not do your job. Her mother has to go to the grave. Her mother had to live through this because you failed her. You failed her. Lady Cameron, you did not do your job.
Everyone that is complicit in Breonna Taylor's murder needs to be held accountable. We have not seen that. We see wanton endangerment charges, and that is not enough. We've been charged with wanton endangerment charges. We know what's going on. It shows the corruption of our Kentucky judicial system. It is corrupted. Those 5 warrants should have never been signed. That officer that brought those warrants has not been held accountable. That judge that signed those warrants in 12 minutes has not been held accountable. No one has been held accountable. This is injustice. This is why we said from day one we knew it was injustice. We know that this means that this is the next level of our protest. Warrant assignment needs to be changed and randomly done so they can't keep picking the weakest link to murder us. Those were death warrants. Those 5 warrants that's what they're hiding behind. Y'all, we got work to do. We got to get Breonna's law passed, and we got to keep standing up, and this is the start clock for the next level of our protest.
Justice is in the hands of the people. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. We don't. No more announcements. We didn't get no justice, so it won't be no peace. Show me ain't no peace, bitch. Fuck. Hey, and let people feel what they feel. Let people feel what they feel. Give people space to feel. No fucking law. No justice. No peace. I'm gonna react how I want to react. Ain't no justice in this fucked up racist ass world. Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Fuck 12! Medic! Hey, back up! Hey, y'all back up! Give us some space! Where's the medics? Please back up! Everybody run up! Hey, don't run up!
Being African American in the United States is simply is
Very bad, dude.
So again, 3 counts of wanton endangerment for Officer Brett Hankerson.
Hey, but I might not even be here by 9. I might leave here like 4 or 5. Oh, hey.
Change. Our city needs to change. It really needs to change. Louisville needs to change. This is old. I think some people in power think that this is just going to be one of those things that we just do, it will pass away. That is not the case. This is not going to just pass over. It's not going to blow over. Going back to business as usual, we are not going back at all. There's no way to go back. So they might as well get ready for pressure. They might as well get ready for holding people accountable, from the mayor to the city council to any elected official that's being complicit. Please understand that we are tired of being treated the same way and expecting us to just roll over and play dead. That's not going to happen. It's a new day, and we'll give it.
I mean, it was quiet for a minute because people were late. Now we're starting to hear.
But one of the things you know when it comes to grief,
highly disappointing.
This is what we have to learn to live with and accept. The terrorism of being their captives, them controlling the laws which regulate our lives, and when things don't go the way that we think they should, we're powerless to do anything. It's not freedom. I don't care how you adjust the tables, how much more equitable you make the democratic processes, as long as you control the laws that control our lives.
So again, you're hearing it from down here in the park, and the emotion that's here, the anger that's here is, it's just not good. We've been out here struggling. Folks have been charged with greater for doing less. And the emotion here in the park is just incredible. So, we're here. We are here. We are here. We are here.
We're going to show coming what we want, the danger is.
It is real. It is real. It is real. The emotion is real. What we feel right now is 100% real. And we They've got the call.
We marching right now.
Let's go.
We are here. We are here. We are here.
We marched
And-
for 120 days. What they do?
And this is
The talking's over. Y'all being way inconsiderate right now. Turn that shit around. Too emotional right now. Get that shit out of here. It was your child. You took the goddamn camera off. Get that shit out of here.
so these are the live streams. This is raw emotion. This is raw emotion here. This is wrong emotion here. This is wrong emotion here. Raw emotion here. Raw, simple emotion. Folks are not.
Watch those fucking
This
cameras.
is. Raw emotion, just raw emotion here, right now. Raw emotion here, right now.
Hey, take her clothes off. Take her jacket off her. She's too high.
Raw emotion here. This is raw emotion. I'm gonna grab my bicycle and I'm gonna ride with the protesters here because I think it's important that we tell our story and that the news media doesn't get to tell this story for us. So they have started out on a march. You guys give me a second. I need to get my bike. And this is why I definitely wanted to have my bicycle and be able to ride.
And she told me he fired blindly into Breonna Taylor's home through windows, and she said anyone could have been inside. Breonna's sister is a young girl that she babysits. So it's fair to say that they're disappointed. Her aunt, at least, is extremely disappointed. They're broken. The word she used is that she has no justice in the justice system anymore. They said they had no trust in the justice system prior, but they said after this they feel a little bit failed. I am trying to meet up with the family. We had plans of meeting here in Frankfurt, which is why I came here. All day we've been in contact of trying to get together and meet so I could hear directly from them how they're feeling and share that with you as well. But even throughout the day they mentioned just they're torn up. They've been feeling sick, just knots in their stomach, haven't been able to focus. Some of them haven't eaten in days, they said, just from the stress of dealing with all of this. And in addition, of course, dealing with comments or outside sayings from whether it's from social media or individuals. So this is something that they're dealing with after losing a loved one. Of course, we waited nearly 7 months to hear whether police officers were going to get indicted or not. But 7 months, as the family told me, is not long enough to even start mourning someone that they loved for 26 plus years. So they're dealing with all of this and the charges. They did absolutely want more. They do not feel like they got what was deserved here. But as I spoke with them before, they're going to continue to push forward. They have continuously said that this is even bigger than Breonna Taylor. They are on a mission to change the world and to change how Louisville is, to make sure that this never happens to another family. Their biggest wish that they shared with me is they want to make sure that there is never another Breonna Taylor and that we never have to have another hashtag again like this going around Louisville, the city, and the country. Reporting live in Frankfurt, Felicia Ashley, Wave 3 News.
Felicia, thank you so much for that update. And we want to go back right now to Jefferson Square Park with Nick Pick. And I actually, we just got a quick glimpse of your live shot, and I saw some flames in the background.
Yeah, I can't see what's going on. I've been waiting here with Pastor Finley. We're going to follow that next, but I did want to catch up with him while we had him here. Pastor, first of all, I appreciate you joining us. Just the first question, what's your reaction to hearing this?
Incredibly disappointed. it feels like today, and I think it's a fact, that black lives do not matter to our elected officials in Louisville, in Kentucky, and apparently in this country. This has been an incredibly traumatic, difficult time for the community, and to announce the charges, 3 counts of wanton endangerment that didn't even include Breonna Taylor's apartment, a $15,000 bond, and to have us wait for 6 months for that it's hard to put that into words, but this is a movement, and our movement will not stop because of one terrible moment. We're going to continue to push forward, but this is an embarrassment to our city in front of the world.
2 things you mentioned in that answer that I want to get to. The first one is the 6-month thing. You've been out here, you live here, you work here, you're from here. How much more does this hurt as a Louisvillian compared to somebody who may have come into this city, from New York or Chicago or LA?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we live here, we're family, and just to see this happen to a family member, it's incredibly hurtful. What allows me to continue to push forward is my faith in Christ, and I believe that He knew this day, He prepared us for this, He strengthened us for this, and I want to make sure that our people are safe, and I, just at this moment, it almost feels numb.
My last thing for you before I let you go is this. We were waiting for this for 6 months. We didn't know what was going to happen, what charges were going to come, if charges were going to come. Now we've got it. Where do we go from here?
We have to replace all of these elected officials, the mayor, the Metro Council. We've got to get Breonna's law nationwide. We've got to have not just reform, but we've got to reimagine policing. This country is in trouble, and black people feel the trauma of abuse. And this today, again, is a tragedy. It's a travesty of justice, but unfortunately is what we have come to expect and realize in this country.
Pastor, I appreciate your calm words. I appreciate your perspective. Thank you for your little bit of time. John Shannon, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick.
I've been telling the story wrong anyway. Yeah. You don't say your whole narrative is bullshit. You're just explaining our pain right now to put on the TV for all the records. Check out us in the job that you got a job.
Straight down 6th Street right now, heading towards Broadway.
You can't stop the revolution. I still cannot believe this bullshit, man. They did nothing to those cops. That shit they did wasn't nothing but a slap on the back of the hand. Murdering motherfuckers. Boy, I wish I had something to move these damn cinder blocks out of the way.
Right.
I'd clear all this shit up. Not the solution. You can't stop the revolution. Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor. Now we know it's not it's now. Say no. We are not going away.
Not to decide if the loss of Miss Taylor's life was a tragedy. The answer to that question is unequivocally yes. There is no doubt that this is a gut-wrenching, emotional case, and the pain that many people are feeling is understandable. I deeply care about the value and sanctity of human life. It deserves protection. And in this case, a human life was lost. We cannot forget that. My job as the special prosecutor in this case was to put emotions aside and investigate the facts to determine if criminal violations of state law resulted in the loss of Ms. Taylor's life. This included examining the actions of Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, Detective Brett Hankinson, and Detective Miles Cosgrove, the three officers who fired their weapons in the early morning hours of March 13th. In working with our federal partners on this case, it was determined that while we would share information to advance our respective investigations, we must also maintain some level of separation to ensure the integrity of each investigation. When examining issues regarding potential civil rights violations, we determined that any such violation are better addressed through a federal-led investigation, and issues involving potential criminal acts concerning the shooting are better addressed by a state-led investigation. With this in mind, our investigation focused on the events that took place in Ms. Taylor's apartment on March 13th. In the months since taking this case, our dedicated team of prosecutors and investigators with more than 200 years of combined career experience conducted a thorough investigation to better understand the events that led to Ms. Taylor's death. The team is here with me today. I want to personally and publicly thank them for their tireless work. These men and women are true public servants who for months have shown up every day with a desire for one thing, and that is to seek the truth. We decided while we would examine materials gathered by LMPD's Public Integrity Unit, we would need to conduct our own independent investigation and start from scratch in the interest of thoroughness, fairness, and finding the truth. There was no video or body camera footage of the officers' attempted execution of a search warrant at Ms. Taylor's residence. Video footage begins at the point that area patrol officers arrive at the location. Therefore, the sequence of events from March 13th had to be pieced together through ballistics evidence, 911 calls, police radio traffic, and interviews. We utilized information from the Kentucky State Police, local medical examiners, as well as working with the FBI crime lab in Quantico to secure a trajectory analysis and ballistics report. Our team conducted interviews in this case and spent thousands of hours examining all of the available evidence. We concluded our last interview in this case this past Friday and began our grand jury presentation on Monday. As long as the case is making its way through our legal system, I can only speak in general terms about our independent investigation and findings. As the prosecutor, I am prohibited by the Kentucky Rules of Professional Conduct from making public comments that could in any way prejudice this case as it moves forward. Each state has different rules about what prosecutors can and cannot say. The Kentucky rules are clear that I'm prohibited from making comments that could sway public opinion or heighten public condemnation of those involved in the case. These are crucial rules to ensure due process under the Constitution. When prosecutors prematurely release information about the case to the public, it can risk justice by poisoning the jury pool, violating the accused's rights to a fair trial, and even jeopardizing the final verdict. The success of our legal system is predicated on the principle that the accused is innocent until proven guilty. Despite passions, opinions, and desire for every detail to be known, the rule of law must apply. Justice must be done. In the early morning hours of March 13th, officers from LMPD executed a search warrant at 3003 Springfield Drive, apartment 4. This was Miss Breonna Taylor's residence. The officers were advised by superiors to knock and announce their presence in serving this specific search warrant. The scope of our investigation did not include the obtainment of that warrant by LMPD's Criminal Interdiction Division. Federal law enforcement partners are conducting that investigation. Sergeant Mattingly and Detectives Cosgrove and Hankinson had no known involvement in the preceding investigation or obtainment of the search warrant. They were called into duty as extra personnel to effectuate the service of the search warrant. They only had information conveyed to them during their prior briefing. Evidence shows that officers both knocked and announced their presence at the apartment. The officers' statements about their announcement are corroborated by an independent witness who was near in proximity to apartment 4. In other words, the warrant was not served as a no-knock warrant. When officers were unable to get anyone to answer or open the door to apartment 4, the decision was made to breach the door. After breaching the door, Sergeant Mattingly was the first and only officer to enter the residence. Sergeant Mattingly identified two individuals standing beside one another at the end of the hall, a male and a female. In his statement, he says that the male was holding a gun, arms extended in a shooting stance. Sergeant Mattingly saw the man's gun fire, heard a boom, and immediately knew he was shot as a result of feeling heat in his upper thigh. Kenneth Walker fired the shot that hit Sergeant Mattingly, and there is no evidence to support that Sergeant Mattingly was hit by friendly fire from other officers. Mr. Walker admitted that he fired one shot and was the first to shoot. In addition to all the testimony, the ballistics report shows that the round that struck Sergeant Mattingly was fired from a 9mm handgun. The LMPD officers fired 40 caliber handguns. Sergeant Mattingly returned fire down the hallway. Mattingly fired 6 shots. Almost simultaneously, Detective Cosgrove, also in the doorway, shot 16 times. This all took place in a matter of seconds. In total, 6 bullets struck Ms. Taylor. Medical evidence obtained by our team indicates that only 1 shot was fatal. Further medical evidence shows that Ms. Taylor would have died from the fatal shot within a few seconds to 2 minutes after being struck. Detective Hankinson fired his weapon 10 times, including from an outside sliding glass door and through a bedroom window. Some bullets traveled through apartment 4 and into apartment 3 before some exited that apartment. At the time, 3 residents of apartment 3 were at home, including a male, a pregnant female, and a child. There is no conclusive evidence that any bullets fired from Detective Hankinson's weapon struck Ms. Taylor. The KSP ballistics analysis did not identify which of the 3 officers fired the fatal shot. After receiving that information, I asked the FBI crime lab to conduct its own analysis to see if they reached the same results. The FBI ballistics analysis concluded the fatal shot was fired by Detective Cosgrove. Our office looked at both reports to determine if there were major differences in the procedures used by each lab that would have led the FBI to identify who fired the fatal shot. Both law enforcement agencies use similar equipment and analysis, and each lab is highly respected for their work. There was nothing our investigators could point to, nor anything provided by the respective agencies, that directly explains why one lab made the call while another did not. I think it is worth repeating again that our investigation found that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in their use of force after having been fired upon by Kenneth Walker. Secondary to this justification, the KSP and FBI ballistics analysis reached different conclusions, creating a reasonable doubt in the evidence about who fired the fatal shot. I certainly understand the public's desire for answers, and many have questioned the length of the investigation. Simply put, we had to try every means necessary to determine who fired the fatal shot before the investigation could be completed. With a thorough and complete knowledge of all evidence collected in this case, lawyers with our Office of Special Prosecutions presented the findings of our independent investigation before a grand jury comprised of Jefferson County residents beginning on Monday and concluding today. In Fletcher v. Graham, the Kentucky Supreme Court said that the grand jury has competing but balanced functions. On the one hand, its purpose is to investigate allegations of criminal conduct and determine if there is probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed. On the other, the grand jury serves to protect the public against unfounded criminal prosecutions where probable cause is lacking. The grand jury is unique in our criminal justice system because it operates independent of the court and the prosecutor. The hallmark of the grand jury is its independence from outside influence. This independence is necessary to ensure that justice is done both for the victims and for the accused. After hearing the evidence from our team of prosecutors, the grand jury voted to return an indictment against Detective Hankinson for 3 counts of wanton endangerment for wantonly placing the 3 individuals in apartment 3 in danger of serious physical injury or death. The charge of wanton endangerment in the first degree is a Class D felony, and if found guilty, the accused can serve up to 5 years for each count. Kentucky law states that a person is guilty of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life, he wantonly engages in conduct which creates a substantial danger of death or serious physical injury to another person. My office is prepared to prove these charges at trial. However, it's important to note that he is presumed innocent until proven guilty. During the last 6 months, we've all heard mention of possible charges that could be brought in this case. It's important to understand that all of the charges that have been mentioned have specific meanings and ramifications. Criminal homicide encompasses the taking of a life by another. While there are 6 possible homicide charges under Kentucky law, these charges are not applicable to the facts before us because our investigation showed, and the grand jury agreed, that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in the return of deadly fire after having been fired upon by Kenneth Walker. Let me state that again. According to Kentucky law, The use of force by Mattingly and Cosgrove was justified to protect themselves. This justification bars us from pursuing criminal charges in Miss Breonna Taylor's death. The truth is now before us. The facts have been examined, and a grand jury comprised of our peers and fellow citizens has made a decision. Justice is not often easy. It does not fit the mold of public opinion, and it does not conform to shifting standards. It answers only to the facts and to the law. With this in mind, we must now ask ourselves, where do we go from here? Will we continue to prosecute the charges brought in this case as it now proceeds through the justice system and moves to trial? That is our responsibility. And this will be done while the FBI continues its investigation into violations, potential violations of federal law. I know that not everyone will be satisfied with the charges we've reported today. My team set out to investigate the circumstances surrounding Ms. Taylor's death. We did it with a singular goal in mind, pursuing the truth. Kentuckians deserve no less. The city of Louisville deserves no less. Every person has an idea of what they think justice is. My role as special prosecutor in this case is to set aside everything in pursuit of the truth. My job is to present the facts to the grand jury, and the grand jury then applies those facts to the law. If we simply act on emotion or outrage, there is no justice. Mob justice is not justice. Justice sought by violence is not justice. It just becomes revenge. And in our system, criminal justice isn't the quest for revenge. It's the quest for truth, evidence, and facts, and the use of that truth as we fairly apply our laws. Our reaction to the truth today says what kind of society we want to be. Do we really want the truth, or do we want a truth that fits our narrative? Do we want the facts, or are we content to blindly accept our own version of events? We as a community must make this decision. I understand that Miss Breonna Taylor's death has become a part of a national story and conversation. But we must also remember the facts and the collection of evidence in this case are different than cases elsewhere in the country. Each is unique and cannot be compared. There will be celebrities, influencers, and activists who, having never lived in Kentucky, will try to tell us how to feel, suggesting they understand the facts of this case and that they know our community and the Commonwealth better than we do. But they don't. Let's not give in to their attempts to influence our thinking or capture our emotions. At the end of the day, it is up to us. We live here together. We work here and raise our families here together. I urge those protesting on the streets to remember this. Peaceful protests are your right as an American citizen. Instigating violence and destruction are not. I've spoken with both Mayor Fisher and Governor Beshears in the days leading up to this announcement, and I urge them to do what is necessary to maintain law and order and to protect our cities and our people. We have a long road ahead, both as we pursue this case through the criminal system and as we address the pain in the Louisville community. I'm committed to being part of the healing process. When tragedy occurs, we must mourn. We must also do everything we can to prevent it from happening again. Today, consistent with that view, I'm announcing that I will create a task force to review the process for securing, reviewing, and executing search warrants in Kentucky. The task force will consist of a variety of stakeholders, including citizens, members from the law enforcement community, representatives from the judiciary, defense attorneys, and elected leaders. I'll be issuing an executive order in the coming days to create this task force. I believe conducting a top-to-bottom review of the search warrant process is necessary to determine if changes are required and establish best practices. You have my word that I will also vigorously prosecute the criminal charges announced today. I can assure you that my team of prosecutors will continue to give this case their attention and time. We'll also continue to support the good men and women of our law enforcement community who put their lives on the line every day to protect and to serve. And I will fight for those across our state who feel like their voice isn't heard, who feel marginalized, judged, and powerless to bring about change. In a world that is forcing many of us to pick a side, I choose the side of justice. I choose the side of truth. I choose a path that moves the Commonwealth forward and toward healing. You have that choice as well. Let's make it together. Thank you, and God bless. I'll now take some questions. I won't get into the specifics of the makeup of the grand jury.
Yeah, Mr. Sammer, you mentioned that Breonna Taylor was hit by 6 bullets. You identified the one that killed her. Who shot the other 5 bullets, and is any of Hankinson's bullets in Ms. Taylor?
Based on the evidence, there's nothing conclusive to say that Detective Hankinson's, any of his bullets, hit Ms. Taylor.
I'm just curious
Yes, sir.
what your message would be to the family and those who support her in the community, because based on what you're saying today, the grand jury basically found that none of the officers involved are directly responsible for Breonna Taylor's death.
Well, as I said from the beginning, and I appreciate that question, this is a tragedy. And sometimes the law, the criminal law, is not adequate to respond to a tragedy. And I fully acknowledge that, and I know many that are watching today and those that are listening recognize that as well. But the response is that the grand jury was given all of the evidence, presented all of the information, and ultimately made the determination that Detective Hankinson was the one to be indicted.
To be clear, did your special prosecutors make a recommendation to the grand jury?
Grand jury proceedings are secret, and so I'm not going to get into the specifics of details about that proceeding. What I will say is that we presented all of the information, and they ultimately made a determination about whether to charge. In this instance, they decided to indict Detective Hankinson.
One question.
I'm sorry, say that again?
When it comes to officers firing back in self-defense, do you think the current state law needs to be changed for cases like this?
Well, what my role as the special prosecutor in this case was to provide the information and facts to the grand jury. Detective Cosgrove and Sergeant Mattingly were justified in returning fire because they were fired upon. I'll leave it to others to make determinations. We have vigorous self-defense laws in this state, and that is something that existed prior to this case. I'll let others make judgments about that. Yes, sir.
One big question surrounding this case is whether or not the officers knocked and announced their presence. Talk about the evidence that you came to that they did announce their presence.
Yes, the statements that were made by officers there the night or the morning of March 13th show that they did knock and announce. The important point here is that information was corroborated by another witness who was in close proximity to apartment 4 who corroborated that information and said that there was a knocking and announcing by the officers.
Was the witness a civilian or a law enforcement?
The witness was a civilian.
If a wanted invasion could take place while there is a death involved, would that not be a manslaughter charge? If there was a death that occurred during a wanted endangerment?
Well, Chris, to your question, I think it, again, is important to step back and recognize that what we did was uncover all the information and facts related to the morning of March 13th, and then provided that information to the grand jury. The grand jury had every piece of detail needed to make their assessment and their judgments, and ultimately their conclusion was that the decision needed to be made to indict Mr. Hankinson.
Mr. Cameron, Rukmini Kalimaki with the New York Times. Right here, sir.
Yes,
Hi,
ma'am.
2 questions for you. Number 1, you said that she was shot 6 times, yet her death certificate says 5. Can you please explain the discrepancy? And the second thing is journalists in this room, myself included, have taken apart that apartment complex looking for witnesses to the point that you made about the knocking and announcing. Of a dozen witnesses that I spoke to, only one, a man who was directly upstairs, heard them announce. Do you think that's enough in the middle of the night when somebody is asleep for just one person in a tight-knit apartment block to have heard that? Is that a sufficient way of announcing?
Well, let me try to answer your second question first. Your question was, it is enough for me. I think the more pertinent question is, what was the evidence provided to the grand jury? What was sufficient for their purposes? They got to hear and listen to all the testimony and made the determination that Detective Hankinson was the one that needed to be indicted, knowing all of the relative points that you made. As to your first question, can you repeat it one more time?
Her death certificate says 5, and yet you are saying 6. Today's the first time I'm hearing 6.
Yes, sir. So there is a bullet that was lodged, and bullet might be too generous a term. There was an object that was lodged into one of her feet, and so that is what is being referred to as the 6th, I guess, projectile.
Are you going to release the full?
Joe?
Are you going to release the full grand jury report?
Can you say that one more time?
Are you going to release the full grand jury report?
Well, I am right now, because there is a pending indictment. I think it is our practice, and because there is an ongoing FBI investigation, to revisit that question. But at this point, I don't think it's appropriate for us to release any information.
And just for clarification, you said that Hankinson fired 10 times from the outside into apartment 4 and into apartment 3, with no conclusive evidence any of those shots hit Taylor. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Well, that is what the evidence shows, is that there was nothing conclusive to demonstrate that any of his bullets hit.
Was the door open for the fact that maybe one of the shots did hit her? Or?
Well, again, all the evidence was given to the grand jury, and they made the decision that wanton endangerment was the charge to file or to indict against Mr. Hankinson.
Okay, and thank you.
Yes, Wendy. Well, your last question about providing information. In any investigation, criminal investigation, the best practice, and this is whether on the state or federal level, is to not make too many specific comments about the investigation because you do not want to compromise that investigation. There are also ethical considerations as investigators and prosecutors that we're responsible to abide by as well. Some of those obligations continue now because we have a responsibility to pursue the prosecution against Detective Hankinson. It's my judgment very early on that we needed to take this case in the Attorney General's office. As you know, the Commonwealth's attorney was conflicted out of this case because of another matter that he was pursuing. I could have farmed the case out to another Commonwealth's attorney in one of our 120 counties. Instead, I did not do that because the resources that we have to bring to bear and the relationships that we have with our federal partners, in my judgment, were needed to uncover the truth in this case. And part of the reason the investigation took so long is because we needed to make sure that we were doing a thorough job of looking at all the facts and gathering all the materials, interviewing witnesses, making sure that all of our people felt confident in their presentation to the grand jury. I will remind you, as late as Friday, we were still interviewing people in this case. And so the length of it is because this case deserved thorough and fair analysis. That was needed and deserved by Breonna and by her family, for the officers involved, for the community of Louisville, and for the Commonwealth. We needed to have a thorough investigation. We also got the FBI involved in terms of the ballistics report. We needed additional, their ability to scrutinize and make an independent assessment as well. And so the length of the investigation was a reflection, I hope people understand, of how important it was that we got this right. We didn't want to rush it, and we did not. And I'm grateful to the team that is behind me for the work that they did. Look, over 200 years of combined experience. These are prosecutors and investigators who don't care about political distinctions, don't care about influence in any particular regard. What they care about is the truth. And we presented that to the grand jury.
Sir, sorry.
I'm sorry. I won't get into what our private conversation was. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What do you say to people who say this is just another example of the black community not getting full justice? And what specifically do you plan to do to calm a community that's long been hurting? And do you understand that anger that people might feel?
I certainly understand the pain that has been brought about by the tragic loss of Ms. Taylor. I understand that as a Attorney General who is responsible for all 120 counties in terms of being the chief legal officer, the chief law enforcement officer. I understand that. I understand that as a black man, how painful this is. And which is why it was so incredibly important for make sure that we did everything we possibly could to uncover every fact. And I know, look, this team, myself, the members of the representatives of the Attorney General's office have taken a lot of criticism and scrutiny. But that scrutiny in many ways was misplaced because there was not a day that people in this office didn't go to sleep thinking about this case, and it wasn't a day where the first thing on our minds is getting to the truth in this case. And obviously, again, the criminal law is not meant to respond to every sorrow and grief, and that is true here. But my heart breaks for the loss of Ms. Taylor, and I've said that repeatedly. My mother, if something was to happen to me, would find it very hard. And I've seen that pain on Ms. Palmer's face. I've seen that pain in the community. And what our responsibility in the AG's office was to make sure that we uncovered every fact, that we utilized every resource that we could bring to bear to uncover the facts and the truth, and that's ultimately what we presented to the grand jury. On the question of what I'm going to do, I've talked to partners in the community about helping to be a constructive member of any conversations moving forward. I recognize in my remarks I mentioned the fact that we'll be establishing a task force in the coming days ahead to look at best practices for warrants. So there is a lot that I can do in this platform to help.
Okay. Sir, this is Maria Cicchetti with the Washington Post. Just had a couple of quick questions,
I
please.
hear your voice. Okay.
Hi.
Yes,
sorry, over here in the back. Just wanted to double check. Were manslaughter? Did the grand jury ever consider the charges of manslaughter, reckless homicide? And if not, could you please explain why? And do you anticipate any other charges in this case?
I apologize. Could you say that a little louder?
Sure.
I think I got.
Sure.
did the grand jury ever consider manslaughter or reckless homicide or those kinds of charges? And if not, please explain why. And do you anticipate any other charges, or is this it?
I won't get into the specifics again of the proceedings themselves are secret, but what I will say is that our team walked them through every homicide offense and also presented all of the information that was available to the grand jury, and then the grand jury was ultimately the one that made the decision about indicting Detective Hankinson for wanton endangerment. I think that in terms of what happened the wee hours of March 13th, in terms of that particular or specific date and what happened that night in the apartment, I think it is unlikely that there will be any additional prosecutions that come from that event itself.
Attorney General, so can you go into the confusion over the fatal shot that was fired and kind of what the issue was there in terms of determining that? And then also, did you present the grand jury with any charges against Mattingly and Cosgrove?
Well, so as to your first question, what I think you asked about was
confusion over the fatal shot.
Yes, the reports that were provided to us by the Kentucky State Police and then the FBI as it relates to ballistics. So initially we got the report from Kentucky State Police, and it was inconclusive about making a determination into that fatal shot. And so again, with the relationships that we have with our federal law enforcement community, and namely the FBI, I thought it imperative that we utilize that resource. And so they undertook an independent analysis and review of and conducted or provided a ballistics report. There is nothing that this team was able to glean suggesting that there was an objective reason for why FBI was able to conclusively or definitively state that Mr. Cosgrove fired the fatal shot. Both, again, KSP, their lab, well regarded, well respected, FBI, equally regarded and respected. That said, it certainly creates some issue in terms of providing that information to the grand jury and providing that at any subsequent prosecution. And so it was, from our judgment, important to provide both of those to the grand jury and then ultimately let them make a determination about what to do with that information.
And were they presented with charges for Mattingly or Cosgrove?
I'm sorry.
Mattingly and Cosgrove. Were they presented with any charges for Mattingly or Cosgrove?
Well, what I will say is that they were walked through all the homicide offenses, and with that information and the information and facts that were provided to them that we uncovered in our investigation, they made the determination that Detective Hankinson was the one that needed to be indicted here. Yes, ma'am.
General Cameron, just a couple questions. First of all, does the capital not apply at all in Kenneth Walker's defense of his home? The second question is, could you give me an idea of the percentage of people of color on the team of investigators presented to the grand jury?
So what I will say is there's obviously I don't want to get into the proceedings related to Mr. Walker. That's a separate, so I'm not going to have any comment on that. This team behind me presented to the grand jury. And your other question was about the racial makeup of... Well, I'm black, and I speak for the entire department. And I hope that will satisfy that question. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I know that you said the investigation has obviously taken months and it was presented to the grand jury Monday. Can you tell us, when did the grand jury actually, how long did they deliberate? Did they begin on Monday or did they begin Tuesday? And that was of this week, correct?
The grand jury was presented with the information today. I won't get into the specifics of when they began their deliberations, but I will say that they started early Monday and concluded sometime before noon. And so they heard everything they needed to hear. We didn't withhold anything from them. And I hope that satisfies your question.
Okay. General, can you tell me a little bit more about this task force? You know, Senate President Stivers and Representative Scott are introducing warrant bills for the next legislative session. Are they going to be on this task force perchance? And will you be taking some of the information from the bills they pre-file to work with on this?
Well, I don't want to put, obviously, the cart before the horse, but I did mention in the remarks that we are certainly going to have elected leaders on this task force, and I imagine that some of the policy questions and some of the policy proposals that have already been put forward and have entered into the public conversation will be a part of this task force. But I want to make sure that people recognize that this task force is being established not to demonize any one side or any one department or agency. I think it's a healthy thing for the Attorney General from time to time to be a part of a conversation with all 120 counties. I'm not talking or singling out any county specifically, but with all 120 counties about best practices that can be utilized. I had a recent conversation with somebody that said there is always room for improvement. I think that's important in any industry, important in any job. And so as part of my role as the Attorney General, I certainly recognize the part I have to play in making sure that all of our systems in government are improved upon, whether it be because of a particular matter that occurred or because from time to time it's just the responsible thing to do.
Did any of the officers ask...
I'm sorry, Joe?
Yeah. Did any of the officers ask to testify or present evidence to the grand jury, and were any allowed to?
Well, what I'll say on that is, again, I don't want to get into the specifics, but testimony was heard by the grand jury of all sorts of witnesses and folks. And so, again, all relevant information was provided to the grand jury for them to make their assessment. Yes, sir.
When you look at the analysis of the path of the bullets, how was it that Kenneth Walker, who fired the shot at the officers, was not hit, and Breonna Taylor was hit so many times?
Well, that's part of the tragedy here. And again, I don't want to get into the specifics, but the fact that she was hit breaks my heart, and it breaks the collective heart of all the country. But I don't want to get, because we have now a open prosecution, I don't want to get too into the details of the trajectories themselves.
Two follow-up questions. One, I understand that the names of grand jurors aren't released, but what rule or standard prevents you from releasing the racial and gender makeup of the grand jury? And number two, you've mentioned that Cosgrove fired the fatal shot, but could you clarify how many shots in all that hit Ms. Taylor were fired by Mattingly, and how many shots that hit Ms. Taylor were fired by Cosgrove?
Well, as to the last question, inconclusive in terms of how many shots from each officer. We weren't able to identify with that level of specificity. As to the question about the makeup of the grand jury, we might be able to, I need to confirm on that front about. Yeah, you know, the fact that this has received so much scrutiny, I think it'd be inappropriate for me to share the information about the makeup of the grand jury, just to the extent I can protect them.
Will you release the investigative file
recommend that LMPD release it?
Well, look, the role that we now have is to certainly shouldn't be recommending, again, because of the ongoing prosecution, any sort of recommendation as to relates to a release of a file.
We're going to have time for 2 more questions.
Oh, Daniel, okay. Well, I certainly don't think that whether it's the grand jury or our responsibility as the investigators or prosecutors, it's to find the truth. And so when folks from outside of the Commonwealth suggest or make their preferences or their opinions known, it should have no bearing on our role as prosecutor and as investigator and fact finder. Even with folks within the Commonwealth, again, this is a tragedy. I don't want to lose sight of that, but we do have a responsibility to look at the facts as they are, and we can't be in the business. I don't think we want a justice system that is in the business of fashioning facts or laws to a particular narrative. We have to be in the business of presenting the information to the grand jury and ultimately allowing them to make a decision about what to do subsequently.
Last question.
Yes, ma'am. Far in the back. I apologize. Actually, we'll take these last 2 here. Okay. So either one can start. Sorry.
I apologize. Thank you very much, sir. I wanted to ask if you, if you believe personally that someone should have been charged with homicide or one of the similar charges in this case, and if you could please walk us through what happened after the officers knocked on the door. Did they hear an answer? How long did they wait before everything erupted? But both of those questions, please, and thank you very much.
As to your first question, again, this is about what the grand jury decided. One of the misconceptions out there is that the Attorney General's office was in the business of making charges, and that's just simply not the case under Kentucky law. Our role is to present the information to the grand jury. We dispense with that responsibility. We did it after a protracted investigation that uncovered all of the facts. That was our role. That was our responsibility. And we presented everything to the grand jury for them to ultimately make a judgment about what to do next. And in this case, in this instant, they decided to indict Detective Hankinson. As to your other question about what was provided to the grand jury, I can't get into the details of the specifics on that particular issue. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. In the beginning, you said that you spoke with Breonna Taylor's family today. I know you can't tell us word for word what they said to you, but how was the news received?
Well, it was a hard meeting, and I won't go any further. I won't elaborate. But it was a difficult meeting, and look, when I ran for this office, I ran because I had some singular ideas in mind, and you never know exactly what issues you'll be presented with and what challenges you'll be presented with. And today was one of those challenges, to have to sit in that room and provide the information to Ms. Palmer and to other members of the Taylor family. It's been a difficult day. This is a difficult day for everyone standing up here. This is a difficult day for those here that have to report this. And it's a very difficult day for Louisville, all of the Commonwealth, all of the country. I recognize that. And I certainly recognize the responsibility that I have to help in the healing process. And as I noted in my remarks, I hope that those that are home watching, those that perhaps have ideas about being angry or pained by this decision, I hope we will respond in a manner that respects our First Amendment rights, but also respects our responsibility as the Bible talks about loving our neighbors, and that we can do so keeping Breonna Taylor's legacy in mind, but also in a way that respects our Louisville, our city, the city I live in, that respects all of our communities. So again, this is a hard day. I am under no illusion that it is not. And all I can offer is that our office uncovered every fact that was relevant to the wee hours, the morning hours of March 13th. We provided that information to the grand jury, and you all now, whether you're sitting here or whether you're at home, know the results of that process. And now we have the responsibility to prosecute that indictment, move forward in that matter. But all of us have a responsibility to work together, to find common ground, to find ways to love one another, and just be good neighbors. And so that's what I implore as you all report on this in a responsible manner. That's what I implore those that are watching on television, is that we all have the responsibility of coming together now. I hope that you will take that charge seriously. Our governor likes to talk about Team Kentucky, and I believe him earnestly in that charge. And I hope that that extends to the results that were issued here today, and I hope that extends to all of our neighbors and all of our communities. Thank you, and God bless.
Attorney General Daniel Cameron wrapping up his press conference, making his decisions known and exactly how he proceeded. Now, the most important thing we need to clear up here, that's already being misreported on a national level, is no officers have been indicted in relation to the death of Breonna Taylor. One officer, Detective Brett Hankerson, has been indicted for 3 counts of wanton endangerment for shots fired at other apartments. The grand jury coming back and ruling this was a justified use of force because the police officers were fired on. Now, as we take a look at what's going on in West Kentucky as some of the protesters are making their way down from Broadway, we're going to go down some of the high points here. We knew a lot of the information that was just presented to us by Attorney General Cameron, but some of these things we did not know. First of all, some of the high points and the most important things here. Cameron announced that the evidence shows that the officers did knock and announce. However, that was only corroborated by one other neighbor. As you heard one of the reporters ask in a follow-up question, she interviewed 12 neighbors and only one of them heard police identifying themselves as police. The number of shots fired here, John Mattingly fired 6, Miles Cosgrove 16, 6 struck Breonna Taylor, not 5 as had been previously reported, and only one of the shots was fatal, and she would have died from within 2 minutes, he said. Brett Hankerson fired 10 shots. Now, there was no conclusive evidence that Brett Hankerson hit Breonna Taylor, and the fatal shot was, in fact, fired by Miles Cosgrove.
And another interesting point that was brought up, because there had been much speculation about Sergeant John Mattingly, who was hit. People were saying, well, perhaps it was a bullet from one of the other 2 officers who were there on the scene. Attorney General Cameron is saying that it was determined that Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired the shot that hit Mattingly. No evidence of friendly fire because the bullet was fired from a 9.
There are separate sets of justice. There are questions in this case, and those questions should have been answered by a jury, not a grand jury, but a jury. These officers, and understand, Cosgrove, you heard that the fatal shot came from Cosgrove. The other thing that the Attorney General said, he said there is nothing conclusive that says Hankerson fired any shot that hit her body. That means that there may be some evidence that, in fact, there was something that he fired that might have hit her body. That is a question that should go ultimately to a jury. This is not the way cases get handled in our country unless you are a police officer. And that is what we're talking about, this idea of 2 days before a grand jury. If you think about it, all of the same facts, right, in Kenny Walker's case, how long was his grand jury hearing? It common ground
to find ways to love one another and just be good neighbors. And so that's what I implore as you all report on this in a responsible manner. That's what I implore those that are watching.
Turning on the Shelby Street.
We the real motherfucking gangsters out here.
All right, y'all, Real SCL News. We out here. Y'all know we get up.
So Julie just said we're hot until these other shots get back up. You want some water? Can you grab some out of your bag?
Yeah, I got a big one, like the third zipper.
Oh no. Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
You can't stop the revolution!
They say us first.
Yeah, so they'll do a couple full screens, then they'll come to us live.
Okay.
But once this
says
if Brett Hankinson's behavior was wanton endangerment to the people in neighboring apartments, then it should have been wanton endangerment in Breonna Taylor's apartment too. In fact, it should have been ruled wanton murder. That's, of course, getting a lot of attention on Twitter right now. We're seeing even more responses out there, so we will continue to update this as we see fit. Elizabeth Pace, Wave 3 News.
All right, Elizabeth, thanks so much. Well, let's go right now to our former prosecutor, legal analyst, Leland Hulbert, who's joining us in the studio right now. What about that statement, that tweet by Ben Crump saying, if Brett Hankinson's behavior was wanton endangerment to people in neighboring apartments, then it should have been wanton endangerment in Breonna Taylor's apartment too. In fact, it should have been ruled wanton murder. What's your reaction?
I think if you're going to take the actions of the other two, if we're believing the narrative from the Attorney General, if you're going to take the actions of the other two officers as justified, you would have to think that part of Detective Hankinson's actions are justified unless there's something different. He mentioned him being outside. I think that...
Yeah, you can borrow that. You might have to switch the... yeah. This one's the iPhone one. Sorry guys, on that Be Live, we're just making sure we have battery packs hooked up.
Make a hole, please, make a hole.
Trying to get some extra
Coming through, make a hole.
Some power to the cameras.
Down there.
Alright. Ralph, you doing alright?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how you doing?
Everybody here is live streaming. People of the civilians on these streets, watch each other's backs, cover your faces. Somebody's doing something, look at the phone, cover your fucking face. Cover your faces so everybody's protected out. Watch each other's backs. Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Mic check! Mic check! Mic check! Hold up! You told me I'm here for change the plan just a little bit. We about to turn. You go back down Broadway. Am I all the way back? All day. Hey, listen up! Listen! Hey! This plan is for the women and children. So we're going back to Broadway. We want you right back down in their face. And later tonight, it's a whole different story. We're going to go back to the police station. We're going to the Highlands. Hey, let us say we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Where are we going next? It doesn't keep arguing each other for the family. We're going to the Highlands. Raise your hand if you want to go back. No way. We want to go to the Highlands.
thoughts on where to go next?
We're going
Broadway
to the Highlands.
or to the Highlands?
If the last 2 times is to go back now. Let's go. These fans are down now, shit. It's the one that takes to go. We're going to the fucking Highlands. Let's go. Let's go.
And there you have it. Thank you. You're welcome. They went through a lot of layers to get out on the ground. Good thing I brought another one.
There you go.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
At least I know if somebody finds mine, they know whose it is.
Right?
Stay up here and nobody get in front, but they're coming on the outside.
We gotta let the shield take the place. We gonna follow behind the shield. That's what they want. That's what they want. That's right. All those banners and shields to the front and the sides. So in other words, let the shield through everyone. If you're on the side, if you're leaving, good. But we need these shields to keep pace. So if you're in the front, up front, don't be running. Look behind you. You can't see the shields. There's so many people in between you and the shields. It's too far. Let the shields through, please. Let the shields pass. Just let the shields through, please. Let the shields
Yes. Appreciate it.
I want to give you mine right quick, if you don't mind, right quick, please. I mean, y'all can slide it. Y'all better get it together.
Hey, some more black women up here in front. Mike check! I need more black women up front. I need more black women up front. Hey, when it comes to the media, only media I want in the front is the 502 live streamers. There's no offense between nobody from another state. Right now, it's just for us. Alright? Listen. No one is to cross in front of the black women. Nobody. No one. None. When we see danger, we will let y'all know what to do. Everybody keep a steady pace. No one crosses in front of the black women. We need the right foot. Listen, people in the front, we need y'all to clear a way for them.
I want everybody to understand that we are in a position of day one, day two, week one. Like, this is action. You gotta be prepared for everything, anything. If you're not, go home. Go home. You know what I'm saying? We ready.
But we need y'all black men to be with us.
I do what, listen, don't follow me. I do what I want. Don't follow me. Hey. No, I do what I want. Right here.
Hey, what's up,
Women in that second line, fill out. Fill out if y'all can, fill out.
Our street! Our street! Our street! Our street! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Now! If we don't get it, turn it down! If we don't get it, turn it down! Burn it down! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Now! If we don't get it, turn it down!
member of your family. 2 members of your family. So shut it, burn it, whatever the fuck you want to say.
Burn it down! Burn it down! With the lack of justice, burn it down! With the lack of justice, with the lack of justice, burn it down! With the lack of justice!
Each his own, right? To each his own. Each his own. Fuck that bump. To each his own. Fuck that bump.
Slow down a little bit. Slow down a little bit, Chris. Your long legged ass. Shit.
Everybody spread out. He's taking over the street.
want to know.
Get through.
Water truck coming through.
Thank you.
We made it down to Winter Avenue. How you doing, man?
Let them deal with them down there.
Hey, we got waters up here for the people in the back. Please get some water. Stay hydrated.
Can you hear me?
I need the soundtrack. I need the soundtrack.
Sorry.
There's a roofing crew over there. Donated a few cases of their Gatorade to the marchers. Choppers are out. Two of them overhead right now.
So.
All right, we just passed up Grinstead and Winter. About to be a Bardstown Road.
Black lives matter.